We're gonna start. If you want, our meeting will come to order. And I was gonna mention to Lisa that this will be her 19th year on the Animal Control Commission. So,
So that's how long it's been
Yep.
developed?
yeah, we started with just
Yeah.
meetings. It took us about a year before we adopted our ordinance and all of that stuff, and then we officially made it, so. I don't know for what reason, I found some old notes. So, roll call, Ashley.
Here.
Amy,
Here.
myself, and Lisa's not. Melissa, good to have you here, and Adam. And we have Jenny and Sam Becker, and we'll bring them up later in the meeting. First of all, approve the minutes from our last meeting. Did you look at those online before you came up?
Yeah.
Any additions or corrections?
No, I move to approve.
Okay,
Second.
second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Hey, Jen. First, I wasn't sure who was in there.
Yeah, I'm incognito.
So, okay, on B, we need to approve chairperson for the Animal Control Commission.
I nominate Al.
I second.
Are there other nominations? Seeing none, I'm sure there's none. The nominee is approved, we don't have to vote. Next, we're gonna do this differently. We're gonna nominate the secretary.
I nominate Lisa.
Okay, and is it,
I second.
or could we take turns also if you wanted to?
Yeah.
We could.
Yeah.
So why don't we do it that way? And if somebody will do it for today and, yeah, okay. Then we'll move back up to the vice chair nominee.
Amy. I nominate.
Okay, is there a second? I'll second that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Okay, we have to do this differently next year.
When it's just the three of us usually.
No, that's not a different chair. Annual report, did you read the annual report?
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
That was really well done.
Yeah. Gina does a great job.
Any additions or corrections on that? We don't have to approve it, but this has been submitted,
Okay.
so. Okay. Gina, of course, as you understand it, for some health reasons in the family, she's taking care of two people and full-time, and
Yeah.
so she resigned in December. And the person we were going to nominate
Unfortunately.
unfortunately died. So, some names not contacted anybody else, and you guys also have some names. We can throw those out, I guess.
Okay. I guess it.
Is
So
it
the-
possible that Red might come back if he didn't have to do secretarial work? I know he
That
was
part of it.
copying everything down.
Yeah. Well, and he was
that's-
watching the meetings.
Yeah, which took a lot of time and it's not necessary.
Yeah.
Do you think it's possible that he might come back?
It's possible. Yeah. I could ask him.
So that would be another name. I had two other names. One would be Brandon Pope, and the other would be Carla Fries.
Yeah.
Did you have some names?
I can talk to
Just-
Brandon.
Just Mike Quinlan.
Oh, yeah.
Should we put an order on this as to who we'll talk to first? And
I can talk to Red and I can talk to Mike.
I can talk to Brandon.
okay, so why don't you do that, and then
Carla's in Florida. So.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
gone.
for about 2 months?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so she'll
Yeah.
be back, they'll be here most of the year.
I think.
March, I think, yeah.
Uh, Why don't you do that, get back to me, and then what we could do, if we have a special meeting or something, we'll hurry it up. Otherwise,
Okay.
we'll wait till February meeting to nominate.
Okay.
We'll see how it goes.
March, this is February.
Yeah, March.
Yeah.
Okay. Ian,
We went with like Mike Quinlan, would we still be hitting the majority or within city of West Branch on this board?
and he lives in Johnson County,
That's right,
and that
Oh,
could be a complication there.
yeah.
Okay.
Yep,
Maybe keep it in our back pocket.
yeah. We'll check with the first three first.
Okay.
Because all three of those live in town.
Okay. All right.
It didn't take very long.
And we're gonna have a discussion on the animal control ordinance, and you're welcome to sit there, or you can go up to the microphone, and since these are recorded, we'd ask that you introduce yourself.
Yeah.
Please.
It's up to you.
So my name is Jenny Becker, my husband Sam. And might get a little lengthy, but I wanted to make sure I hit every point. So the reason why we came tonight is because we want to propose changes to the animal control ordinance. The reason being that on January 17th around 5 p.m., my father-in-law, his dad, took our kids out to our backyard. We live over here on Downey Street. And as kids do, they ran ahead, and he was a little slower to come behind them. And as he got around the corner of the house, he saw there is a Malamute that lives in the neighboring backyard. And it was chasing our daughter through our yard. He watched it as, he said it looked like at first it was just playfully chasing her, but it knocked her down face first into the snow. And so he went over and pulled the dog off of her and went to return it to its fence. And our son, who is 8, tried to help him. He went and opened the gate. Well, the dog kept trying to push its face back through the gate, and so they weren't able to get it closed. So my son admittedly said that he used his foot to kind of try to push the dog back while they were trying to push the gate closed. And the dog pushed on out and then attacked our son. And I tried to print off the pictures, but our printer did not do a good job of it. But he had on his winter coat,
Good thing.
which is one of those from Walmart that has like the extra fleece lined jacket inside of it. So we're talking inches of fabric, and his winter gloves. And this is what his shoulder looked like. Luckily just superficial. He had a puncture wound to his elbow. So, and that bruised pretty well as
Yeah.
well. And a pretty good scrape on his hand, even with the winter gloves on. So, if he had not been wearing his winter coat, and if our father-in-law had not been out there to then again pull the dog right back off of him, I have no doubt that our son would probably be dead. It came to our attention as well that in talking to others around the neighborhood that the same dog also got out and killed another dog. However, the owner of that dog does not want to be a victim and does not wish to be known. And so they do not want to file a report. And so right now, the dog can basically be remaining a little 3 and remain in the backyard. And
Does he have a muzzle on when he's in the backyard?
no. My understanding is that he just has to essentially be in an enclosure or on a leash, which they have been taking him out on a leash. They are keeping the dog inside now. Before, the dog just remained outside on a tie-out within the fence most of the day, all by himself. But now they do keep him inside, and they come out with him or keep him on a leash. And they promise to do that at least through the winter, and then come spring, they told Chief Hannah that they would put up a taller fence. Because right now it's a 4-foot fence. So even if they secure the fence, which they've tried,
Probably jump over it.
he could easily go to the top of it. And so we also have found out that the dog chased another girl down the street. And if you watch when he's out in the backyard, even with the owners, and he sees somebody walk by, he starts pacing the fence. So in this situation, we kind of feel as if the city ordinances are not enough, because,
Can I ask you,
Yeah.
you've seen the city ordinance, correct?
yes,
Why was he classified at 3 instead of a 4?
because the chief does not have the official report from the dog that was killed.
No,
Yeah,
in
but-
your situation,
In our situation,
yes, it caused bodily injury.
He bit a human.
yeah,
Yeah.
because
Um,
the ordinance says serious injury, and so since it was superficial, he didn't feel that it was serious
Oh, that's a
injury.
pretty serious injury.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
So.
And that's what Chief Hannah said?
Yeah, so at this point, he deemed him a level 3. And so he feels, and him and I talking, he also said that, you know, there's kind of this gray area there as to deeming what's a serious injury.
But he also attacked a human.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, right now, he's a level 3, can remain in the backyard. Our concerns are with the fencing requirements, because obviously the fence that he has not helped keep him enclosed.
Yeah.
He also broke a tie-out for a 200-pound dog, and went under the fence. So, you know, at this point, any actions that the owner has tried to take to contain the dog have not worked. So for our kids, we don't feel that the situation is safe. Also, we feel that there needs to be more clarification as to, you know, what is a serious injury, or
I guess a
just,
serious injury to me is the break of skin.
Yeah.
That's a serious injury.
so, yeah, and so clarifying that, or just, you know, if a dog aggressively attacks a human being causing any injury.
Right.
Unprovoked, you know. So those are some of the things that we're hoping that you guys can take a look at. I did look into surrounding cities' ordinances. So I have some of those if you guys are interested in looking at those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I looked at, back when we first wrote this,
Mhm.
we went through probably 50 of them
Yeah,
from others.
yeah,
Ours is the most copied one in Illinois, but, you know, we plagiarized, of course.
yeah,
We thought this is the best fit,
yeah,
was the best fit for us. So, yeah, we have looked at lots of them.
yeah. And I figured you probably have. But, yeah, just, you know,
I guess we should more clarify that this injury, what classifies as serious injury.
yeah,
So that needs to be clarified in the ordinances more. I mean, to me, that would be broken skin.
yeah.
That would be, I would classify that as a serious injury.
I think we're gonna need, probably, we'll bring it up again next meeting, probably need to talk to the city attorney,
Mhm.
Kevin Olson.
Yeah, I know Chief said he was hoping that he could be here tonight, but
Um,
Cause that should be, I mean, he should be a level 4.
Yeah, he should be a level 4.
yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you,
I mean, unprovoked
these.
attack on, not on their, on private property.
I was gonna say,
That
I
was-
have. So a level 4, according to West Branch, is an animal, whether or not confined, caused the serious injury or death of any person.
mhm.
An animal while at large kills or causes serious injury to any domestic animal. An animal engages in or is found to have been trained to engage in exhibitions of fighting. Or an animal that has been classified a level 3 dangerous animal repeats the behavior described in subsection C.
We've got the ordinances here.
Okay, I was gonna say,
Um,
um,
My first impression is that the ordinance covers it, but it was still classified as a 3,
Yeah.
and it's,
well, because 3 says aggressively bites or causes physical injury less than serious. And so that's where, like Chief Hannah said, there's kind of that gray area as to what do you consider serious or not,
yeah, and there'd always be some judgment.
right?
Um,
And so that's where, looking at other city ordinances, some of them just classify, you know, any biting of a human,
As a level 4.
right?
Yeah,
I guess to me, a non-serious bite is somebody that comes up and like nips
Nips ya.
at your heels. And,
and we had, or last 6 months ago,
or
No.
provoke.
last spring was.
or if they're provoked, yeah.
Yeah, a kid running and the dog went after her and didn't break skin but bruised.
Mhm.
And it was sort of a half play, half bite. It's,
Yeah,
so there's always gonna be judgment here.
Right.
And,
But looking at the
But hers
shoulder,
was worse than,
I was gonna say,
I
if he
mean-
had not have had his coat on.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That would have been
did Chief Hannah see
damaging.
pictures?
the picture?
What?
Did Chief Hannah see the picture?
I believe he did. The officer who responded that night was Kathy Steen.
Okay.
They need to see those
And
pictures.
he has the report, so
He's
our
listed it.
initial conversation, I was under the impression, this was over the phone, so I was under the impression he was looking at them while we were talking.
Okay.
So I assumed he saw the pictures, from her report, and that's what he used then when. he
And knowing
said-
that he had that many layers of,
Yeah,
and it still caused that, I mean, to me, that's a serious.
yeah, that's a serious.
So I'd say we just have a misclassification, but,
I think what we'll do is talk with the police department and then
Mhm.
also talk with our city attorney. And then, I've got your telephone number.
Yeah.
And we'll talk as to whether or not we should meet again, ask you to come to our meeting or not.
Yeah.
And we'll put it on our agenda for the next meeting again.
Okay.
And you can't, Chief Hannah mentioned in a letter to me that, or an email he sent, about, we can talk about height of fences and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, we've all known a dog that can jump a 7-foot fence.
Right.
And we know that a 3-foot fence is just fine for some.
Right.
So putting a number on that,
It's hard to do. One of the suggestions that,
that's why we purposely left some judgment in there, common sense type
Yeah.
things.
one of the suggestions he made that to me would make a lot of sense is saying that it has to be a kennel with a floor and a roof. And that way, because like this dog loves to dig, and so he digs out. You know, so having a floor prevents them from being able to dig. Having a roof prevents them from going up on top and, you know, you don't have to specify, it can be a small kennel or a large backyard kennel, but that would be one suggestion that he had that I thought made a lot of sense.
it's what, a level 4 that they have to be muzzled when they're outside, right?
Level 4, they'd be
I
euthanized.
understand.
Yeah.
A level 3, they
Level
have to
3.
be muzzled.
Yeah.
Yep.
So has he
But-
been muzzled outside?
No, because it only says on public property. So that would be something else to consider too.
I mean, you can't keep a muzzle on a dog all the time or they'll,
Right.
they'll overeat and die. But-
So, but yeah, it only says on public property
Yeah.
that they have to be muzzled. And it just basically says that for a level 3, they have to be on a leash or within a
Right.
secure enclosure. So he was on both, you know, and managed to get loose. And so that's where it's like, you know, right now the city ordinance is not enough for this scenario.
Right.
And so, you know, whether it changes this specific time or not, we want to prevent it from happening to somebody else. Because, you know, like right now, for us, the decisions that we face as a family, you know, what to do to keep our kids safe.
Right.
At some point, it's to be warm enough, they won't be wearing heavy clothing.
Exactly.
And you know,
And so if the dog remains, you know, we're in that place of, do we put up our own fence? Do we take legal action to try to push to get rid of the dog? Or do we move?
Yeah.
You know, and none of those are fair to our family to have to consider.
yeah.
Mm.
But we want to prevent others from having to go through that.
And I am very concerned about the safety of our neighborhood. After hearing about this, we've known Sam and Jenny for about 5 or 6 years now, and they do not make stuff up. I'm glad you're taking it seriously.
Jim is our next door neighbor.
Mhm.
We've talked to several others around the community too who have had issues.
The neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who
Is there
have had
anybody else that
issues.
you know of that
Has had
has had run-ins with
problems?
this dog?
So,
Other
other
than
kids getting chased or,
well, there was the one girl that we have reports from others that was chased down the street, but we don't know who that girl is.
The police officer picked up the dog, took it to
Yeah.
the vet, and that's where it was then taken back to the house. The girl had supposedly called the police, and I don't think anything happened to her, but yeah, just overall, there's that sense of uneasiness.
yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
Yeah.
Every
You don't
time
wanna
anyone
look out your
walks
door
the
every
dog-
time you go outside.
Walks
Yeah.
their dog,
Yeah, I
there's
get
this
it.
dog pacing,
Yeah.
you know, it's just
Yeah.
very uneasy overall.
Yeah. There's a couple that lives just down the street from the guy that they walk their dog together all the time. And I watched yesterday, it was out there and they were walking by and the sister who lives there ended up having to take it inside because she almost could not control the animal on his leash. Because he was lunging, trying to get to that dog. So, and talking with them, you said they're.
Did it have a muzzle on when it was on the leash?
It wasn't.
It wasn't.
It was in
It wasn't on
its,
public property
it was in its
In
own
his
yard
yard.
fence,
Yeah.
so,
and leashed.
yeah.
That sound okay with you if we
Yeah.
investigate this and get back to
Yeah.
you and,
That
yeah.
sounds
Okay.
very reasonable.
Thank you
So
for that.
it sounds like the two proposals that she's kind of talking about is the kennel with the roof and floor, that should maybe be put in, and what constitutes a serious injury.
Yeah. What is a secure enclosure,
Yeah.
defined requirements, things like that.
Mhm. Yeah, cause like Chief Hannah said, right now, his understanding of the only thing that does not qualify for secure enclosure or being leashed is an electric fence for a level 3.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Right.
that's where he even said,
Mhm.
we can do better as
Yeah.
far as fencing requirements,
Yeah,
and making sure that it's secure.
And then you
Okay.
go so far as having, at what point do you require that there's a floor and a roof?
yeah.
I mean, if it's a dog that digs and jumps, obviously, yeah. I mean, that's gonna be, for that dog, that's
the
gonna
Quality of
be,
life for the dog too.
yeah.
thanks for bringing this to our attention. I'm gonna give it some thought and we'll do some investigating.
Okay.
And,
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry.
You're certainly
that
welcome
happened.
to stay for the
Not
rest of the
fun.
meeting. It won't be a lot, but you're welcome to leave.
We can stay.
Okay, all right. Interesting.
So that's the police report.
No.
No.
Oh, well, it's part of it. Yeah, police report, you've got that in front of
Yeah, I
you.
got
Was unable to attend for prior commitment. There was another dog that was bitten, but she was reaching into inside the residence. So that was also a level 3.
Was it
So
classified before that or after that?
after that, because
Okay.
that's the way level 3 is written.
Yeah, yep.
Um, so, whether confined or at large, bites or causes physical injury, so that's a natural level 3, so.
Yeah.
So, okay. All right. Let's see, was there anything else? Yeah, and he also wrote comments on yours as in part of his report, so we won't review that again, so. Any other questions on the police report, the one you have? And there's not much more on the letter that he sent me,
Right,
so,
right.
okay. Dog park discussion, we actually have 2 things to discuss. This is probably a year, doesn't have to be this year, as to whether or not we want to expand the dog park. And the other is, what about naming? There's a request to rename the dog park. Comments?
Which one do you want to start with? I guess on the renaming of the dog park, I mean, I see where they're coming from.
I do too.
But I've had lots of phone calls and lots of comments that, yes, he was a very active part of the dog park and spent a lot of time there. But a lot of other people do too,
For
and
2 years.
yes, yeah, and it was, I mean, maybe we can do a bench
Yeah.
in memory of Steve, but there was a lot of people that donated a lot of money to that park, and,
Melissa,
so
do you
what
want to
happens
comment?
to?
I was gonna say, if you want to do a bench, we have those benches still sitting at Public Works. I can do some sort of plaque
Yeah.
Yeah,
to
That
put
would be
on those
awesome.
before they go in there, and that
Yeah.
would be,
I think that would be
That would be
great.
you just have to let me know what you'd like me to put on it. and
Yeah.
then Put on it,
Yeah.
we can definitely do something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Either that, or I was thinking even doing like a wooden, or some type of a sign under our little gazebo thingy that says in memory of Steve Bickford or something,
And Shadow,
Yeah.
in shadow, yeah.
I think that probably should be with it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was just a couple of years. But
Yeah.
it was always those 2.
Yeah, always.
Yep, yep.
All the time.
Melissa, when you do a plaque on a bench like that, you know, some people do a memorial and they buy a bench and put the plaque on it. Well, the city has purchased these. Would the family be necessarily need to purchase the plaque or not?
No, we can put that in the budget, that's fine.
Okay.
I mean, we do have a lot of times people will purchase a bench in memory, you know what I mean, and they give us this money.
Yep.
But like I said, we have them, I have already purchased them to go in there, so a plaque is gonna be a minimal cost, we can absorb that cost.
Okay, thanks.
And he did his Eagle project, he already had that made,
Yeah.
I mean.
Yep.
Like you said the other day, it was, and, yeah. But, yeah, I have a lot of people that have contacted me, and we do understand, I do understand where the family's coming from, and very emotional, and that was what he wanted, but there is a lot of people that donated a lot of money, and a lot of people spend a lot of time out there, or have for years, so. So the next time, are we gonna rename it then?
Yeah.
I mean, is it gonna keep, we're gonna have to keep renaming the park?
Sure. Melissa?
When I was visiting a dog park in Colorado Springs, and I'm sure you've already seen these before, but they have you in memory of plaque, and then you can, as animals or people
Yeah.
pass away, you can do something like that. Usually there's a little donation that goes with it,
Yeah.
but that would be something that could be incorporated into
Yeah.
the future for something.
Which we did talk about doing that inside the shelter.
Is also talked about by its fundraising. There's a park in Illinois that I went to that has several of those. They have a picture. John Doe and Fido, and they gave $100 or whatever, you know, and there were several of those around the park. It's just a fundraising thing.
I can definitely talk to like Harry's and Coralville, we work with them a lot to see what options they could give and then get it back to you guys so that if you wanna use that for future fundraising or expansion or
Yeah.
whatever, you have some idea of what.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, it sounds like we're in agreement there. And the other part, just to open the discussion, and it doesn't have to be settled at all, but I've heard some comments, and, you know, we've talked about it for years, whether or not we should expand to the south part.
And the county said they would give us that land whenever
Yeah.
we were ready, so.
The good part, I mean, it's actually slightly larger than what we have, but it's not square.
Right.
Well, we could have,
But all we need is a fence.
yeah.
We've got grass there, there's nothing to come out of it.
There's
It's
already
pretty
shelter there.
simple. Yeah, it's pretty simple. And it's, right now, if we put more toys in there, it's a little crowded for putting more toys in there, it would give us some room. The other thing is that the grass is not great, because it gets overcrowded.
Yeah,
It would give us a chance to close one end, use the other,
yeah.
let it catch up, and then move back, just like grazing cattle.
Well, I know the fence for the dog park that we have now was like 13,000.
Yeah, and we probably picked the highest price people around, so,
Actually, they were the cheapest.
at the time,
Yeah.
I think we had something like $5,000 in materials, but they, I think we should proceed with,
Getting bids or,
first step would be to contact the county just to make sure that,
Yeah.
Mike Dauber, I suppose, did, to make sure that he was still interested. And there's no, I guess, rush on this. Why don't we take that first step, and then next meeting we'll discuss it, whether or not we should do the fundraising and do that again.
Start all over.
It's
It was
been
fun.
7 years?
seems like yesterday. Yeah, Tipton is like,
It's, something. Okay,
so I go talk to Tipton in 2 weeks about their dog park, so.
do you want me to contact Mike Dauber then, and we'll bring him up for the next meeting?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Okay, we had some discussion over last summer, about the county and Friends of the Animals and controversies over in Tipton.
Mhm.
And so I, just looking through the Tipton paper, I noticed several things. The Friends of the Animals is still operating, and they're advertising in the paper. They raised some money, including Girls on the Run chapter in West Branch, raising money for a catio, in addition onto the
Mhm.
Friends of the Animals, so cats can come in and out, it's a fancier place for them. So it sounds like Friends of the Animals is still active, and there's one other, Just Dogs Rescue, put an ad in the paper, 25 dogs looking for forever homes. So Just Dogs Rescue. It's a three, it was in the Tipton paper and it's 319, area code number.
She's brought some dogs in for nail trims and grooming, so.
Yeah. So this new park, or, shelters doesn't seem to be getting off the ground,
Mm-mm.
so.
Yep, I just talked to Judy about it 2 weeks ago.
Okay. Is there any other new business?
I can jump in.
Yeah, great.
I guess, probably not the way I want to start, but it is me doing my job. I guess two things I've got concerns about. In terms of if we expand the dog park, I want to make sure that it's okay or it works with our park budget too, to make sure that's part of the conversation. Just to give you a little bit of a background, there's been a lot of property tax changes that has hurt our budget, number one, and it's probably going to hurt us going forward. But number two, I think at times there hasn't always been coordination, and so when a project is given, there's not always the big picture item in mind. So what are the long-term costs? And yes, a dog park doesn't cost that much, but I just want to make sure that is considered when you guys do that. And I'm giving you guys a heads up that we're seeing a lot of growth, development pressures. Right now, things probably work okay, but I'm a little bit worried if the things that are going to come up growth-wise, and we're population 3,000 2 years from now, and 3,500 another 2 years from now. I'm a little bit worried about Melissa's role in how, I guess, where is the role in the dog park? Is that maintenance should be under Parks and Rec? I know a lot of the stuff started here, but there's some weird awkwardness where if we grow and people are moving to our community because of our new school, they're going to be very rec oriented, and Melissa's going to get way busier, and then she's got to listen to me, and then she's got to listen to council, and then she's got to listen to Park and Rec board, and now she's got to work with this board in terms of dog park. So just a couple things I want you guys to think about. Not anything that I'm pushing at the moment, but things are going to change two ways. The state property tax changes, and then our growth is going to change how our chain of command is going to work. So just something for you guys to think about, and it'll be something I'll just keep reminding you until there's a point where I feel like something may need to actually happen. But I just want you to think those things through a little bit. So not that you aren't, but just giving you a heads up. So.
There is the option in the future, a lot of cities have a Friends of the Dog Park, and they raise their own funds and they manage it themselves.
Yeah.
Pretty small, but we thought a dog park for a town of this size is certainly an attraction.
Correct. Agreed.
Quality of life thing for
Agreed.
probably helps us, but we'll continue to work with Melissa and make that work, and we'll try not to overwhelm her.
And I want to make that clear. She didn't come to me. That's just me seeing where things are going. And it tends to be, and being from here, it tends to be when something's controversial citywide, it tends to be on the recreation side. So I just feel like at some point there's going to be more pressure for more recreation things. And so just trying to get ahead of it. So
Yep, totally understand.
Yep.
thank you.
Any other business? If not, our next meeting date will be February 8th.
March.
I wrote it wrong, no wonder.
I will not be here.
Okay,
I have a horse show in Arizona.
move to adjourn,
Move to adjourn.
second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pass, thank you. Okay.
How's that, Ann?
You deserve it.